Well, we going somewhere else though. We doing some
Oh
other
yeah.
things here.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. People been waiting on this.
Oh, you better know it. They're gonna start harassing me. I said, man, we might as well go on with part two. Because I
Yeah.
go on into something else another week and they be wanting to figure out what's what. Grace and peace, everybody. Let me make sure I got to turn this volume down and all of that other stuff. Y'all know how that normally go. Let me see. Let me see. All right, I think we going somewhere right now. I got to make sure. Grace and peace. Do me a favor, y'all. If you just type one in there. Just type one in there. We're gonna let me see. I want to make sure I got everything set up. Do me a favor. Somebody type one in there. I see 810. Trust and believe. Grace and peace, man. Yeah, I looked at that. I looked at that thing you sent me with Jabari. I did check that video out. I didn't watch the whole thing, but I was checking it out. He coming out. He talking a little bit. Grace and pieces to Carolyn. We're gonna pick up. Let me see. I wanna make this thing. I'm not sure if y'all gonna see me. We're gonna kind of pick up. At least let me let y'all see. We're gonna kind of pick up from where we were yesterday. We didn't get into a whole bunch of stuff. Shalom, grace and peace, Joe's daughter. We're gonna get into this thing, the chat. We're gonna talk about this because there is more confusion. There's more confusion, and we want to just make sure we clear some things up. My man Jason gonna share some slides. I'm gonna share some slides, and we're just gonna discuss things. And I have a few questions. One thing that happened yesterday is that y'all know when I start going with the coffee and stuff, and I'm not looking at the screen, Sister E, she's over there doing a live or something, so we're not really focusing. And Jason was in the car on the cell phone, so he can't really see the screen like that when we're doing it that way. Let me slide this thing over, but we're gonna talk about some watches. I want to answer a question first. Somebody said, hold on, let me slide this over so they can see. I think they can see. Let me see what they can see. You looking at your phone? So they can see both of us. Somebody asked me about Bible thumpers. What do I mean when I say a Bible thumper? A Bible thumper is anybody that think that their way is the only way. 2.3 billion with a B. Y'all hear that? 2.3 billion people are running around here reading this book, and everybody don't view things the only way. Now, I'm Pentecostal, but I get around my Baptist people. I'm not crazy enough to think God's not moving among Baptist folk. But a Bible thumper think the Baptist folk ain't got it. You got to do it their way, and that's the only way to do it. I was sharing on the situation with the watchers yesterday, and how there's tens of thousands of people that believe, including many Hebrew Israelites in the first century, that Enoch was influential in their theology, that other books that we may not be in the canon was influential in their theology, and people had beef with that. But that's just what it is. The Bible talk about the book of the War of the Lords, the book of Jasher. There's books that the Bible talk about that's not in the Bible. So the first thing we have to do as stumpers is, why would the Bible mention some books that's not even in there? We have to go a little further in our understanding. We have to stretch ourselves. It's not, it's not the Lord's way. If you don't believe to do it a Bible thumper's way, it's not the Lord's way. There's no other way but their way. So that's what I mean when I say a Bible thumper. Now, a lot of people may not know this, may not like this, but there's certain things that's not clear in the Bible, or it depends on your hermeneutical approach, your approach on how your hermeneutics, how you approach the text. Are you involved in dispensationalism, covenant theology? People approach the text differently. That's how there's a lot of confusion with Israel and the church and replacement theology and all of this stuff. People just throw it all together. They're not understanding certain things. So we're going to try to get some clarity. There's some things that's not totally clear in the Bible. The Bible in Genesis says the sons of God. You want to do me a favor and pull that up right there, brother? We're going to pull up Genesis 6:2. The Bible ain't too clear on certain things, according to some people. Now, my man, trust and believe, I don't know what you feel about giants, but that book said giants. That book said giants were in the land. They came back with fruits and they were carrying them grapes on sticks. Them fruits were so heavy. The grapes were looking like watermelons. So now we got a problem here. Now we have a problem because there's some stuff that we definitely have to look into. We had some technical difficulties, but thank God, you know, that stuff worked out. We appreciate you, brother. You have that up? You can share your screen. If you do, we're just going to take a peek at that, and then we can basically roll from there. But in the midst of that, and let me go back to this thing. Matter of fact, I can look on my phone. Go ahead. Hotep Rob Moses, we're going to talk about you. I'm going to talk about you. I'm glad you're here, brother. We're going to talk about you and the occult. So we're going to talk about principalities. We're going to talk about watchers. And is there a scientific connection with governments locked in with watchers or principalities? Because Moses, because I'm going to tell you right now, Moses, he down with the occult doctrine. And the other guy said to me, he said, well, you got to understand more and more people. Listen to me, Rob Moses. I ain't playing with you. One of your people came to me and said more and more people are going into the occult because the occult is dealing with knowledge and they're walking away from belief. Just reading the Bible is simple belief. The occult science that started in the 1600s that some people want to take back to Kemet, they said the occult science is knowledge of the spirituality. And when we start dealing with Bible and belief, we're dealing with just simply trusting in God. Let me make sure. Let me see. I want to make sure that I'm on. I want to make sure. Oh Lord, what am I doing here? Come on, pull that up, brother, and then we're gonna get into that, Ron Moses.
Can you see my screen? I'm on
Yes,
Genesis 6, increasing corruption on the earth. You want me to start with Genesis 6?
Yes, please.
All right. When men began to multiply on the face of the land, and daughters was born to them, the sons of God saw the daughters of men were attractive, and they took as their wives any they chose. Then the Lord said, my spirit shall not abide in man forever, for he is flesh, and his days shall be 120 years. The Nephilim were on the earth in those days, and also afterward, when the sons of God came into the daughters of men, and they bore children to them. These were the mighty men who were of old, the men of renown.
All right, stop sharing your screen for a second and get ready for the other stuff you're gonna be presenting to them. Now, I'm looking at the screen. Somebody else said, I got somebody at work just like that. Grace and peace, prophetess, Sister Foster. How are you? So Rob Moses, so they telling us now, they're telling us some stuff, but we're going to get into who these sons of God were. Who were these people? But remember, the main question that we're looking for tonight, because I'm going to talk about Jack Parsons, I'm going to talk about L. Ron Hubbard, Aleister Crowley, I'm going to talk about the occult. You can say what you want. Let me see who's in the room. Y'all can say what y'all want, but there's a lot of people. I told y'all I build with gods, I build with Moors, I build with Freemasons. There's a lot of people coming into the New Age and the occult world. They know more about the astral plane and the spirit realm than the average believer. Now, why is that? They start getting into the whole story, Sister Foster. They want to give me the whole story about the high science, and we don't understand the high science, and that there were a bunch of gods. There were a bunch of, that's how I can remember in Genesis, he said, the man has become like one of us. There was a bunch of Elohims, and there was some beef, and Lucifer, and some of them broke out. And they're the ones that want everybody, according to Crowley and everybody else, they want y'all to communicate with people in this realm. But the God Yah, the God Jehovah, the God Yahweh, he don't want nobody to talk to nobody in that realm among them hundreds of billions or trillions of beings. He don't want nobody to deal with them. But these other beings, they want to tell you about the realm. They want you to come into the realm, and that's the occult science. Some people call this occult science or the spirit gods my higher self. That's my God, me. That's my guardian angel. So when I talk to mystics and people like Moses, and then when I talk to the Freemasons, when I talk to the people in the occult doctrine and the Rosicrucians, they be like, y'all are gravity. Y'all Christians, the Bible got y'all stuck in gravity. So I'm like, what the fool? What do these folk be talking about? And that's what the bishop and them don't like, but I'm gonna share it. When they say gravity, like if I said, yo, the sister, she lost her apartment, her husband got cancer, they're in a grave situation. They say gravity keep you down. That's how a lot of Christians read the Bible. Gravity keep them down. But when you look at the magicians and you see certain things from back in the days, the Rosicrucians and the magicians, they levitate themselves. They say you got to deal with your higher self. That's levitation. And that's what Jesus did. The Bible said that he was ascended. When you look at the last part of Luke, in the beginning part of the book of Acts, the Bible said that he ascended. See, that Ron Moses think we run around here worshiping a man Jesus instead of becoming Christ. I hope y'all got that, because all of this stuff is connected to the watchers. Come on, brother. I'm gonna slow down, but I want to lay everything out. Grace and peace, Roz. I want to lay everything out. So some of y'all in here, y'all are, y'all stuck on the ground, y'all full of gravity, and other people are magicians. And this is allegorically speaking. Remember when they talk about alchemy and changing things and all of that, that's transferring, that's changing yourself, changing your soul. They say work out your own soul salvation. You got to transform into God. You got to transform into the Elohim. And these ascended masters, these beings, these deities, they're the ones that connected you to the spirit realm. But the God y'all serve, he don't want y'all going up in there. Because remember what he told them when y'all go into the land of Canaan, don't do none of that abominable stuff. Go in there and kill everybody, first of all. Kill them all and don't do none of that stuff that they're doing. So right now, everybody is dealing with their higher self. Everybody's dealing with you, Lucifer. Everybody's dealing with the science of the spirit realm, and we're the only ones that's totally against it, because we believe that this God here, we believe that this deity that spoke to Adam and them, that led Moses and Abraham, he said to stay away from that stuff. But there's other beings, there's other gods that's giving out that information. So when you run into people and they know all about the spirit realm and astral and casting and doing different things, that's how they're operating. You'll run into occultists, they'll tell you how to work with demons. Notice when these people call demons, they got to call demons and demons come up. Demons work hand in hand with principalities and watchers, but they're on another level. When we look at the book of Daniel, we don't see no demons up there. He said, Michael, the chief prince, had to come and help me, and I'm going back to war. Y'all remember Daniel now? I'm gonna take it slow, and we're gonna go through all of this stuff right here. Demons not up there. Demons down here, but they're working hand in hand. And then you got the everlasting God. He's doing as he please. I got a few questions. Do all angels have access to all realms? From the ancient time, the Canaanites, Mesopotamians, everybody had access to what we would call, the angels, we believe, had access to heaven, earth, and that's how come in the occult we got trees. Like Moses and them would look at the tree, the garden of good, the knowledge of good and evil. Trees got 3 levels. The branches and stuff wave in the air, and the leaves are in the air. The trunk is in the middle, that's the earth, and the root is in the ground. That's the occult science of a tree. So the root being in the ground, that's the underworld. Do all angels have access to the underworld? That's one question I'm asking. Another question is, because a lot of people said, well, how can angels have sex with women, and how can watchers be this and that? All beings that, well, let's say, that fell in the rebellion, that walked away, all of them are locked up. Some of them running amok. Where Lucifer at right now? Who's in here? Progress. Where Lucifer at right now? Some of them running around here running amok. And this is what people are dealing with. This is what Crowley and them dealt with. This is what a lot of people do. Y'all can say what y'all want. I got to salute Benjamin Franklin, Thomas Paine. The Freemasons said, listen, we got to mimic Jerusalem. We got to mimic David and the people in the Bible. We got to mimic this stuff. That's how come a lot of people, what's the name, having secret teaching, not secret teaching, the secret destiny of America. Manly P. Hall, who was an occultist. Manly P. Hall was an occultist before he was a Freemason. He already was heavy in the occult, calling on spirits and commanding them. That's where you Pentecostals get this from. That's where them Pentecostals get this from. We're gonna talk about that. God don't work the same way. It's a lot of the same stuff, but he don't work the same way. So they said, listen, America is the new Jerusalem. So when the Freemasons and the occultists in Europe said, listen, we're going to set up America, they're doing this for a reason, because they believe in the temple, they believe there's a new Jerusalem, and they believe in the coming of a great one. Now it's some beef, because it ain't the one we believe in. I'm gonna leave that alone. Grace and peace, Jeremy. I'm gonna leave that alone. Come on, brother. I'm gonna pull it after you present some of this on the watches and stuff. I'm gonna go back into Crowley and I'm gonna show them some things, and we just here to ask some questions.
Okay.
But I think we can show and prove. I think that we can establish that certain governments, certain kings have been locked in with watches and principalities, and we can drag it back to Kemet.
Yes,
Come on,
sir.
brother. You got the floor.
All right, we're gonna start with Enoch. We got to take it from Genesis 6 because Enoch is the non-canonical book, which gives us a better interpretation of what happened with these angels. And I'm gonna be reading a couple verses out of Enoch, first Enoch, the real Enoch.
Wait a minute, hold on a second. Do me a favor, explain what you said with the real Enoch. And somebody else said, or is America the new Babylon? They called it the new Jerusalem. You said something right there, but that's what it really is. They don't know that they excellent, they magicians. They're excellent at the bait and switch. You looking at the hat, you pulling out a rabbit, and they doing something else. That's how come I can't be mad at certain people when they start talking about nationality and who are those people, and that's a whole nother thing, though. That's down there. My own girl, she don't let them talk about that. Oh, damn, I'm already getting death threats. Go ahead, brother.
Okay. The difference between the Enochs is this Enoch is the one that they associate the oldest original writings of Enoch without the manuscripts. And then you have two other Enochs, which would be considered pseudepigrapha. And the third one, I believe a dude got put in jail for plagiarizing with that Enoch, but we don't use those Enochs because they can't be validated. They're more on the pseudepigrapha line. And also, just to let you know, a lot of the stuff in Enoch, some scholars would say going towards the end of Enoch, you know, it kind of looked like somebody had interjected certain scriptures and things in there. So that's why they say you can use it for reference, but don't go too deep as far as the gospel. That's why we normally stay in between like the first couple chapters of Enoch, because that explains the fall after the fall. So I'm gonna start. We actually can't start with the fall. The sons of heaven, the evil deeds for their children. Let's go. The fallen angels teach humans magical arts. We can start with that, because that's where you're going as far as us trying to command things in that spirit world, which Blavatsky called the Akashic records. The fallen angels teach humans magical arts. This is the 8th chapter of Enoch. Azazel taught the humans to make swords and weapons, shields and breastplates, the lessons of the angels, and they showed to them their mining and craftsmanship, anklets and adornments, powders and painted eyes, and all kinds of chosen stones and dyings. Much ungodly and prostitution happened, and they were laid astray and ruined in all their ways. Semyaza taught enchantments and cutting roots and armaros, spells of healing, rahakia, astrology, big word I can't pronounce. The science of symptoms, Sathiel watching the stars, Seriel, the course of the moon. Therefore, the cry of the utterly destroyed people went up into heaven. So,
all right, hold on. I'm sorry. Hold on a second. Let me stop you right there. You said there's certain things I want to make sure I point out to everybody. You started talking about the herbs, the science of the herbology, the science of the herbs. When you start dealing with Timothy Leary and they start dealing with ayahuasca, the shamans. The great ones were speaking to the shamans. We believe those are watchers of principalities and told them certain things. See that there's a science of the spirit world that a lot of believers feel it was forbidden, but it was taught to human beings so they can get themselves into an altered state, so they can realize their higher self, so they can realize there's a whole galaxy out there of multiple beings out there, stars all over that you can travel. You can astral project, you can do all of these different things. And they felt that the God of the Garden of Eden, the God of Adam and Eve was hiding it. So these other set of watchers, Elohim, when he said the man has become like one of us, those other beings said, we're going to share this knowledge with them so they can come and they can communicate with them and they can know it's a bigger, better world out there. And that's why Blavatsky and so many people preach a flipped hermeneutic, like Lucifer is good. Jesus is God too. What she said? She said, unfortunately, Jesus is God too. You hear me? This is what Blavatsky said. This is why I always bring them up. She said, but Lucifer's God, but she bear witness that Lucifer's God also. She said, y'all want to call him the devil, a prince of darkness, to call Lucifer a great one of light. Why would y'all call Lucifer the prince of darkness? And he has come to illuminate people, to illuminate countries. He's brought nations and countries to another level. People that had the technology in Egypt, people that had the technology in Babylon, people that have the technology in America. They have this through spiritual means. Some of them want to shop that nonsense to y'all. Oh, we don't believe in spirit world. We don't believe the boy, you better believe it. They believe it more than y'all believe it. And y'all going to church 4-5 times a week. Go ahead, bro.
Man. Okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to jump back up because I did kind of jump ahead of myself. I'm going to start with the fall from Enoch's perception. That's the sons of heaven and the evil deeds of their children. And it happened that when the sons of men multiplied in those days, they begat good and beautiful daughters. And the angels, the sons of heaven, saw them and longed for them and said to one another, come, let us choose for ourselves women from among the people and bring forth for ourselves children. And Semyaza, who was their ruler, said to them, I fear you may not wish to do this deed. I alone will be responsible for a great failure. Therefore, they all answered him, let us all swear by an oath and devote one another to mutual destruction, not to turn back from the decision until we complete it. Do this deed and oath and devote one another to mutual destruction, not to turn back from this decision until we complete it and do this deed. Then they all made a vow together and put each other under a curse in regard to this. These are the names and their rulers. And then they named the rulers. Semyaza, this was their ruler of all the angels. Arthak, Kimbra, Samuel, Daniel, Arias, in the name. So what I'm gonna do is parallel this. The consensus from Enoch is that these 200 watchers bound themselves with an oath to leave their estate. Jude speaks about that. Those angels that left their estate to go after strange flesh. Now, when you understand them leaving their estate of this of the heavenly realm, they left their estate. They gave up that office to come down here and manipulate men. So when people say, well, how did they do? And well, angels ain't supposed to have sex, and they left their estate. So, you can just summarize or visualize what happened. But most of the consensus say those 200 went down on Mount Hermon. Okay. Mount Hermon, just to parallel that, Mount Hermon is the one of the highest peaks. Some ancient writers say that's one of the peaks that the devil took Jesus in the wilderness when he set him up on a high peak and showed him the world and said, I'll give you the world. It was on top of Mount Hermon. It just so happens that if you go off the Paris meridian lines is like how they do longitude and latitude. It's the 33rd parallel. It's 33rd longitude, 33rd latitude. That's when you get into the 33rd vertebrae, your chakras, and Jesus died at 33 and all those, the way they try to put that together. So,
and a lot of people, I'm sorry, and a lot of people don't know when we start dealing with mountains, Prophet Muhammad had revelation up in the mountain. Moses went up into the mountain. Jesus, everybody, mountains been connected with spirituality from a long time. Some people say, well, the mountain, because the mountain was so high, and back in the days, nobody had that. You can't just go on top of the mountain, and you got to watch how you're coming down Mount Everest and all of that. People have lost their lives trying to go up there. So the ancients said that who could go up there and live? So automatically, some people said it was connected with the legends of watchers, with the story that you just heard, plus it was also connected. People's like, nobody can go up there and live. You're gonna die if you try to travel up there. And back in the days, people tried to do it and they were never seen again. So they said the gods took them. They just went and died and nobody went up there and found their body, because you can die going up in some of these mountains. You can die, and you gotta know how to even come down. You can't just rush down. You have to come down. It's like scuba diving. Because of the elevation, you know what I'm saying, and your blood and all of that stuff. So those are things that we got to look at. One more thing is, why are you reading Enoch? I don't want them to think that we're pulling doctrine from Enoch, but I cannot lie. Enoch and other books do bring clarity to some things the Bible simply alludes to. Exactly. People read the Bible and say, oh, the truth is in the Bible. That ain't nowhere else. There's certain things that the Bible is not totally clear on, but it just reference. How do we handle the story? How do we handle certain things? You know, like I said, people have passed and been to seminary. You're going to not go in church. Nobody will never, if you go to any legit Baptist church, any legit Protestant church, AME church, any legit church, you ain't gonna never hear them on Sunday morning preaching out of Genesis 6:2. They're not gonna do it.
Never.
Because it leaves too many questions. So we believe first Enoch in certain things will attempt to fill some questions in. Remember, this is none of this stuff that we're discussing have anything to do with salvation. So it's okay.
Yep.
So I can have a position and someone else can have a position. There's 2.3 billion people reading this book. So it's not the end of the world.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead, brother.
All right, we're gonna start paralleling some things. If you read in the Old Testament, Joshua, on his way to go conquer the Promised Land, had to come down to Caesarea Philippi, right? And then you transform to the New Testament. Matter of fact, one is Matthew 16:13. Now, when Jesus came into the district of Caesarea Philippi, he asked his disciples, "Who do people say that the Son of Man is?" Now, just to give you a backdrop of why just that verse is so important, and what Peter said was so important. The Mount Hermon was actually used, they would say, when the Danites left, and when the tribe of Dan left and departed from the 12 tribes, they went up north, northeast. Well, this Mount Hermon was also used as the idol's Pan in Greco-Roman. They had the Pan god, so they would come do sacrifices. They believed the further back into this cave, when they made sacrifices to the god, if they sacrificed a person and threw him in the back of the cave, if they seen blood come out from the bottom of the well, they knew the gods didn't accept the sacrifice. But if no blood came, then they said the gods accept the sacrifice. So I just want to give you a backstory of the 200 watchers were supposed to have failed at the top of this mountain. So they bound themselves. So off top, this mountain was for paganism. And the Canaanites went and settled down here, and they used this mountain for certain rituals and things of that nature. So when you hear Caesarea Philippi, you equate that to Mount Hermon and those demons and fallen angels. Now, they would call the opening of the cave a doorway, a gate, like Brother Marine was speaking about. That gate would take you from the natural plane to extraterrestrial plane or celestial plane. So that was the manifestation of them standing at the edge of that cave and Peter declaring Jesus is the Son of God to these entities. So that's one reason they pull all this story together, where you use Enoch to use extra biblical context on the backdrop of the watchers, because you don't hear any of this outside of Enoch. Now, Jude alludes to what happened when the angels, or just speaks about the angels losing their state. Then you use Genesis 6, and then it's another couple passages where it speaks of these watchers dealing with human beings. That's another reason in the New Testament, most of the biblical writers believe, women covering their hair with head coverings, because they wanted to keep them from the angels, seducing the angels. And this thought was normal, in the early church. They believed in this spiritual realm. It's just later, when you get to the 3rd century and Gnosticism, and then you get the Freemasonry, you get the Orientalists, it's a bunch of different sects that infuse a lot of this doctrine. But watchers bound themselves on Mount Hermon. They came down and they intertwined with women. And then
now, one of the reasons, let me just stop for a second.
Yep,
One of the reasons that people feel it came like with Augustine and stuff like that, an African church father, that August in 350 in the fourth, like I said, 4th century, Augustine and them felt. Some people feel that that's the beginning of, like, let me see how conspiracy, they would call it conspiracy, but that's the beginning of Rome. In order to mix the occult science, they say that occult science is steeped in symbolism within Catholicism. That's how come you'll see even arches on church steeples and all of that other stuff. You'll see it there, and it's a connection to Kemet, because they took the two spiritualities, the spirituality that Jesus brought, and they mingled it with the spirituality of the watchers or the occult, and they brought it all all together. That's why some people call it Babylon, and it's a poisoning. Like, this is pagan stuff. This is stuff that's come from the occult, and it's going to mess the folk up. Folk thinking it's one thing and it's another. So people would say that that's the beginning of where you're going to see a switch, where you see some other things going on. So they'll try to act like they don't want to discuss certain things. They don't want to bring it out, when in all actuality, they're covering it up and they're using it. That's how come a lot of people, you'll hear people even on Sinetta, they'll tell you, listen, these people, the occult sciences belong to us. These people will take it. Y'all got to stop saying everything in the occult is the devil. Everything coming out of Africa is the devil, because they're challenging on us on this now. And what show and prove what you mean, the pentagram, those are just two pyramids. You got to understand the science. And everybody's talking to you about the science. You don't know the science because you in church with the dumb preacher, and they talking a whole bunch of stuff, and they challenging you on every single thing. This is why this history is important, to understand where this stuff come from, how these people view it. Like I said, they don't think Lucifer and the rest of them are bad people. That's what we call an inverted hermeneutic. Y'all don't even read the story right. Y'all dumb fools don't even read the story right. What happened in the garden? The serpent was wisdom. That's why Jesus said, be wise as a serpent. The good one was really the serpent, and the bad one was the ignorant God trying to tell y'all don't get knowledge. This is heavy in the occult world. This is heavy in the occult, heavy in Freemasonry. This is heavy in esoteric Freemasonry, Rosicrucian. This is heavy in that stuff right there. They riding with this. And to be honest, like I said earlier, to be honest, you got to admit it, occultists know more about the spirit realm, the astral body and all of that stuff, astral planes and all of that stuff, how you deal with herbs coming to your higher self, third eye chakra, DMT, ayahuasca. You dumb Christians don't even know DMT naturally in your body. Why would God put it in your body and give you a third eye? So when you listen to, first of all, half these folk don't know no book. Then when they start giving you scriptures, when Jesus said, if thou eye be single, what the preacher gonna do with that? He said, oh, don't worry about that, for God so loved the world. And people like, oh, you see that? The most be like, you see that? How can the preacher ain't answer that? Houston, we got a problem. And the occult science is growing, and more younger people are going to the occult because they think they ain't just going to Hebrew, the Hebrew Israelite movement. A lot of people moving in the occult because it makes sense. One, they say it's a science. Two, I can practice it, and I can call down things, and I can manifest things, and I can connect. Once somebody leave their body dealing with this astral plane, y'all ain't finna tell them nothing about no Holy Ghost and jumping up and down and speaking in tongues and dancing. When they done left their body and went to their mama house, they done practiced that, you done. Now, I don't know why the king say don't do it. Which Jeremy and them can answer that. Why the king say don't do it? But if people practice that and they leave in their body, they be like, yo, man, I ain't see no demons there. I just left my body. I don't know what y'all talking about. This is the high science the Egyptians practice. We can practice that, but they just want us to touch our neighbor. Go ahead, bro.
Excellent, excellent. All right, what we gonna do? I'm gonna give you scripture so y'all won't think we just putting this off the top of my head. Joshua 11:17. From Mount Halak, which resides towards Seir, as far as Baal Gad in the valley of Lebanon, below Mount Hermon, and he captured all their kings and struck them and put them to death. That's when Joshua went in and was actually fighting the giants. And that goes back to what you're talking about, Baal Gad. They was referring to Mount Hermon. And then you also have another passage in Joshua 7:13. And these are the kings of the land whom Joshua and the people of Israel defeated on the west side of Jordan, from Baal Gad in the valley of Lebanon to Mount Halak that rises towards Seir. And Joshua gave their land to the tribes of Israel as a possession according to their allotment. And it's interesting that also Bashan was in there. Bashan is Og's land. Og is the brother of Goliath, Og of Bashan, which they speak about in the Bible, that his bed was like 14 or 15 feet, some or whatever the cubits, but they equated to like he might have been 10 to 11 feet because his bed was made of steel, or that. So that just solidifies that there were giants in the day.
Now, another thing is, a lot of these folk, the beef is, a lot of these folk, y'all can say what y'all want. That's how come you got to, one, allegorize the text. You got to allegorize the text, or you just got to never speak on it. Or you'll just be on it from one, oh, David was little and he had 5 stones. And no, where these giants come from? Somebody that's really looking at the story be like, we got some explaining to do. But most people, they'll be like, I got the stones and you can have the victory of God. And they preach it like that, and that's good. That is important, Jeremy. I don't got no problem with that. But there's some deeper things. Where did they come from? Where did they come from? When you talk about the giants with 6 fingers, if the book is real, or the book is lies, myths, and legends. Because there ain't but 2, 3 outcomes we can come with. That thing is telling the truth, it's allegory, or this is just like make-believe. This is just like Cinderella, and we all just put the book down and keep it moving and follow Rob Moses and the occult. We just pick up a few verses here and there out the book and do what we want to do. We ain't got that many choices. Go ahead. Let me see. All right, go ahead.
I was looking at some comments real quick.
Okay.
We got Rob Moses, Psalm 82.
Yeah, do me a favor. I want to see. I don't like looking at my phone. Make that thing small for a minute. Let me see. Rob Moses talking and talk. But Rob Moses, I know you believe in that levitation. I know you believe in that. I know what he believes in. Hold on. Let me see if I can go over there. How do I make my thing small?
He says Psalms 82:5, ye are gods, but just know the science of raising your electromagnetic vibe.
You see that? You heard? Shots fired. He said you're electromagnetic, and this is what they're doing. Now, to be honest, the problem comes in when they say that you do your astro, when they start teaching some of the stuff in the code is true. Is there electromagnetic fields in the body? Can you astro project? Can you deal with certain things that are naturally in the body and enhance them, like DMT is naturally in the body? And what's that book? Who wrote the other book on DMT? I got to go into my Kindle and pull up some of this stuff. We used to teach on this stuff a couple of years back. And we start dealing with stuff, and it gives you visions. When people say they saw that light, they saw that tunnel. Some people say, oh, that's when you just when you're running out of oxygen, if you die on the operating table. Well, other people say, listen, we can go to Peru, we can go to South America, and we can meet the Indians, and we can meet the natives, and we're going to take some of this DMT, and we're going to see beings. We're going to deal with some stuff. My man went out there. He said, listen, they told me they told him for 3 days, don't smoke no trees. He can't help himself. He hit it before he get on the plane. On the way to he said he got there as soon as he got there. So he was like, they said you didn't smoke, right? He said, no, I didn't smoke. So he lying to them. He said immediately as soon as he drank it, he said from the peripheral, from the side of his eye, he see like a big lizard, and it was fighting another one. And as soon as he punched him, he said he just started throwing up right there. He fell down. He said he ran out the hut, started throwing up. And he said that was that other being fighting with the being that was part of him and all this stuff. He said, man, that thing is so real. There's no witnessing to him. There's nothing you can tell him because he went to another dimension and he's seen some things happen. Now, experience in of itself. That's Mark Harris, Grace and Peace. Experience in of itself isn't nothing but certain things people can't deny. That's how come I think personal relationship and all of that stuff is important, because you'll mess around and you'll play yourself and you just hear what grandma said. Then when you get challenged with certain things, if you don't know the king, you're going to fall, by the way. You're going to fall. You're going to fall when you're challenged. Now, other people are saying, why can't we mix it? Listen to me, Jeremy. Why can't we mix it, Daniel? Why can't we just mix the occult science with the Bible? It all goes hand in hand. That's what the Catholic Church wanted y'all to do. They gave y'all symbols. They gave the Freemasons that was building all them Catholic churches over there in Europe. They don't left plenty symbols on the building to show those that got eyes to see and ears to hear. They don't left it all around. They couldn't talk about it because they'd be killed for it, but they left gargoyles. They left certain things around to show y'all. Not to be scared of them, but you got to get past these fears to get there and speak to the beings, to get to the light. Coming to the light. Y'all remember that? Who was that? You're allowed to come into the light. Come on, bro. Go ahead.
Hey, and it's funny because when you get to talking about DMT and ayahuasca, that is a decalcifying of your pineal gland. And they say when you cut when they split people's heads in and they look at your pineal gland, it's this hydrogenous fluid in there, almost the same as the fluid in your eye. So
yes. And they're saying, and another thing too, but they're saying now, they're saying fluoride. They're saying these people deliberately want to keep some people dumbed down on this plane and not communicate to them. That's the dumb, deaf, and blind. They want to keep you like that so you won't know that you're anything more than a monkey. You just evolved from monkeys, and you won't start going out there and dealing with that when the elite's dealing with that. The elite always kept priests around them. From the pharaohs, they always kept some preachers around, as a priest around them, just like Israel always kept prophets. You got to have somebody, you got to be in contact with that realm. You can't make it down here with being cut off. So the elite believed in that. We've always had seances and all of that craziness going on in the White House. We've all, before the White House, we had that going on in Europe with the kings and them in England. They had wise men around them, magi around them, people that can go into that realm. The shamans, the Indians here, they had people that can go into that realm. You can't make it as a tribe, as a group, as a people without going into that realm. But who are you talking to when you get there? What are you dealing with when you get there? So now we're being challenged on stuff, and we've been just told just to believe, just read the Bible, just love him. Just love him. Now, just love him is all right. But now when people come questioning me and start talking about that, thank you, brother. We appreciate you for that. And start talking about that. Listen, you gotta understand, I left my body last night. You gotta understand these dreams and these visions I'm having. Your own book said you shall have dreams and visions. Now, those are dreams and visions from God, but when other gods are at work, when other beings are speaking, what do you do now? When the government is pushing certain things on you, when we're seeing a doctrine being preached, a doctrine being pushed, when we're seeing it all through television. So everything is against the book. Everything that we're doing, everything that they're doing, everything that they're talking about, everything that's coming at us for us, Harry Potter and movies and Hollywood and the cult and Ouija board, all of this stuff is against the book. Love the dark side, love the spirits. All you got to have to do is right energy. And we're going to talk about banishing too. We're going to talk about banishing, because I'm going to explain to y'all some occult practices and some things that mystics do. Thank you, Rose. We appreciate you so much. And we're going to talk about some stuff that some mystics do. And it's I think it's decent to talk about. How long we been on? I want to share some of this. We're going to be on this for a minute, because we didn't even get nowhere. To be honest, we didn't even get nowhere. We just on the watches. Hold on, let me see if I can share some of this right here. Well, we don't gotta, because I know some folk gotta go to work tomorrow. So 10 o'clock, yeah, we some grown folk in here. We could chill for a second. Let me just show y'all, because there's some connections with some people and things, and we just gotta understand some stuff. So now we got people like Moses. Now we got people like Red Pill, Blue Pill, plenty more. Brother Panic Cats on side another TV. And I'm not saying them, Phil Valentine, Bobby Hemmett. You got people just heavy into this occult thing, white and black. White and black. Don't think because I none of them talk about it. This is just a black man. Occult science come from Kemet. This is our science. Boy, listen, these white folk been steep in the occult. I've been reading their books. I'm talking about Benjamin Franklin and all of them. Bacon, Francis Bacon, steep in the occult. George Washington, steep in the, and they bosses. Isaac Newton. A lot of these people steep into the occult. Now, what people don't understand is when they talk about science, they want to try to fool us and separate science from the occult. But science and the occult right now is going hand in hand. And Blavatsky and them, they said that. So they said either Christianity going to change or Christianity going to fall to the wayside. So there's been a lot of people that were Christians and they started getting involved in the occult sciences. And those are what we call esoteric Christians. They follow Gnosticism and they look at allegory when they're telling about stories. This guy, Jack right here. Jack is a heavy guy. Grew up in a rich family. They used to bother him when he was a little kid. He used to always think about space and the stars and blowing up stuff in his yard, and mom and them think he crazy. Other kids teasing him because he don't want to play basketball. He didn't want to play baseball. He didn't want to run around and talk to the girl. He didn't want to do none of that. He wanted to dream about the stars. He wanted to dream about heaven. He is one of the main reasons that we have Lear jets right now, Gulfstream jets right now. We can launch satellites right now because he came out with certain things. You want to read some of this here for me, bro?
Yeah, I got you.
Oh, all right.
John Whiteside, Jack Parsons, 1914 to 1952, was a rocket propulsion researcher at the California Institute of Technology and a co-founder of the Jet Propulsion Laboratory, JPL. His research was central to the United States rocket program in the 1930s and 40s, notably in the development of space capability, rocket fuels, and the invention of J-TOW, or it might be NATO, units for aircraft jet assisted takeoff, jet assistant takeoff.
I like what Jeremy said. Yes, that's a very good thing. Jeremy said the Magi that came to visit Jesus, those were occultists, those were scientists. Some people think that was a whole school in Babylon of mystics, and they didn't want to miss nothing, so they kept everybody prophecy because they respected all of the holy books, and they had Jewish writ. You know, to clean it up, we'll say, oh no, those were Christian. Well, not Christian. Those were Jews waiting that lived in Persia. We know how to clean some stuff up. Because it's too confusion if we say mystics came to say, where's him that is born, King of the Jews? We seen the star, and some great one done came. So we just want to be up on all of the stuff that's going on, and we've seen it in the stars. Now it's beef if I start showing y'all some stuff in them stars, because Revelation talk about some stuff in them stars, but y'all already said the stars was the devil, and looking to the stars is the devil. So Job, anything in that book talking about stars, we got to throw it out the window. We got to throw it out the window. Now, understanding the stars, understanding the equinox, the processions, and understanding the seasons, because people say Christmas was built on, it's not the S-O-N, it's the S-U-N. Now, to be honest, a lot of people, we couldn't live without understanding the movement of the stars and the planets and the seasons. We couldn't live without that. And ancient men looked forward to certain things. They looked forward to certain things. So we got to be able to explain that. And what do we do in Job? And what do we do with other passages that do talk about Pleiades, that talk about Orion, that talks about or heavenly bodies, that talk about heavenly body, not reading the heavenly bodies to know my future, but what are we going to do with that? Was that a star? Was that a real star? Was that a figment of their imagination, or was that a real star? And do God show signs in the heavens? I'm gonna make them. Matter of fact, they're gonna because if you read Revelation, they said they looked up and they saw the blood, the moon turning. They saw some stuff happening from some signs. Now, how are you gonna read that? That's the beef. How are you going to read that? Because if you say, oh, I don't deal with Rob Moses, I ain't dealing with no, but then you're going to turn around and say, well, you got to understand that's symbolic. Revelation is a symbolic book now. Oh, pump your brakes. Because 1 minute we said Rob Moses and them wilding out now. Well, how can we tell what's allegorical, what's symbolic, and what's literal? What's literal? Is the some of the stuff that's going to happen in Revelation with the blood and the water, stuff that happened in Exodus, is that real or is it allegory? Oh, you confusing me. I don't want to talk about the young folk gonna confuse you out here because they want to talk about it. And they done been to school a little bit and they done seen a few videos, so y'all ain't gonna play with them. Thank you, Mark Harris. We appreciate you. That jet takeoff thing, that was a little part that goes on the jet motors, and I think it helps with the fuel. Jack Parsons, he basically he gave us the rocket fuel. He gave us the rocket fuel. It wouldn't be no NASA if it wasn't for Jack Parsons. And there's another guy that I didn't bring up. He was an occultist too, working for Hitler, and von Braun was his name.
That's the big guy.
If it wasn't for these occultists, for these scientists, for these people, if it wasn't for them, we would this planet, this country wouldn't be where it is today. For occultists, for Freemasons, for mystics. And then after he died, he blew up. He was doing something. We're going to talk about the Babylon working, because these people wanted to open up portals to commune with beings. They wanted to rip portals open, and they believed that they had a science from beings to do this. So they said, I'm gonna keep working this magic. I'm gonna work these principles. I gotta work this thing. Let me get this pentagram. Let me understand these numbers, because this occult thing is a sacred science. You gotta understand it and you gotta practice it. Not just blindly pray and just wait by faith like Moses and them know that we do. They say, no, you gotta practice this thing. And these are smart people doing this. Now, the problem is we running around here telling these folk, no, you can't open stuff like that. That's unscientific. And then people start talking about string theory and all of this other stuff. This thing is more real, and the scientists understand that this thing is real. Now, when we deal with portals, we got to, because my Moses in here, so I can't just talk and skip over stuff. We got to talk about Jacob's ladder. He fell asleep. He put his head on a rock, and the name of the place was Pine. Oh, God help us. We got a lot, Houston. We got some explaining. We're Jeremy at. We're Yolanda. We got some explaining to do to these folks, because they're gonna ask us questions. And he saw a stairway, a ladder. It was really a stairway in the Hebrew. He saw a ladder with angels going up and down on it. And then y'all know, yeah, all of y'all know, well, come on, where my Sunday people at? Y'all know Malachi 3. Malachi 3, will a man rob God? Where you have robbed me. You have robbed me in tithes and offering. Prove me, try me, and I will open up a window of, that's a portal. I'm going to open up a window of heaven. And he's going to pour out a blessing. So things can come back everywhere falling out the sky, but through portals, through certain places. When Jacob realized that he had that dream, he said, this place is important. He got a rock. He said, listen, I'm going to set up something right here. This right here where God is revealing himself. That's why we go to church. That's why you got to be in the right church. Is a portal open over your church? Is a portal open in your life? We got to look at all of this stuff. We got to look at all of this stuff. I don't want to call it a science because they say you can use the word that they're using. But there's some things we got to do. The problem is how God moving, when God moving. God ain't telling us how we move because he wants to trust him. But those other people say, no, God is mean. That's how come he ain't telling you everything. Those other beings are friendly. Come on, this is Aleister Crowley. Read a little bit of Aleister Crowley right here.
Yeah, this Mr. L. Ron Hubbard's buddy. All right, Aleister Crowley. Original name, Edward Alexander Crowley, born October 12th, 1875. Royal Leamington Spa, England. Died December 1st, 1947, Hastings. British occultist, writer, and mountaineer who was a practitioner of magic, as he spelled it, and called himself the Beast, 666. He was denounced in his own time for his decadent lifestyle and had few followers, but he became a cult figure after his death.
Multiple Masonic degrees, the order, the OTO, all type of secret orders. He just mastering and running through the lodge. He running amok in Freemasonry, running amok. Another guy. Now y'all remember that Jack Parsons was rich. Later on, when his grandfather lost all the money in the stock market, when the stock market crashed, he had to turn around. You know, he just started going to school and all of this stuff, but he constantly stayed reading books and thinking about the stars, and he ended up getting on. And he ended up working government contracts and doing all of this stuff. And in the midst of him working, I'm going back a little bit, in the midst of him working, he said, I want to open up portals. I want to get knowledge because those beings on the other side can give me knowledge on how we can advance as a people. So he wanted to get a higher knowledge from people or beings in another realm. Old fools call it grandma and them, but they said these are advanced beings. Some people call them gods. They're all the same thing. We call them watchers. We call them principalities, but these are not demons that these people are dealing with. Some of them are, some of them aren't. They're getting direction from principalities, from watchers, from other beings that's in the heavens, that's rulers, that rule nations and rule kingdoms. This is why the Pharaoh had to have wise men around him. Herod and the people always got to have preachers or wise men or priests around them to divine the signs of the time. Remember when Israel was coming up, Saul went crazy. He was like, where's Samuel at? You got to have a while. You got to have somebody tapped into that realm to talk to them to get direction. Everybody can't do that. And countries are different people. They always acknowledge that. So Parsons end up blowing yourself up. Now he blew himself up because some people said it was suicide. Some people said no, it was it was murder, but it was a lot of stuff around him. And later on, people were embarrassed that he was involved in the occult. But they said that he did some rituals. They were doing Babylon work, and they were doing a few different rituals. And he did a ritual, and he opened up the fabric of heavens. He opened up 2 portals, and in opening up them portals, he died. They say in magic, the person that opens it up is the one, like we talk about binding and loosing. The person that opens it up is the person that's supposed to close it. He ended up dying. And it's interesting that this stuff happened in the 40s. And in the 40s is when y'all said that Roswell thing would go on, 47, 48, that Israel became a state. People started seeing all over the planet, started seeing UFOs. Right at that same time that they said they ripped and opened up some of these portals, people started seeing UFOs. He ended up running into this fool right here, Alex Crowley. Crowley, another rich guy. Everybody in rock and roll loves him. Everybody in the cult loves him. There's a video with Jay-Z out say, do what thou wilt. That's the whole of the law. And that's the shirt that Jay-Z was wearing. So Jay-Z's very familiar with Alex Crowley. He said, do what you want to do. Now, Aleister Crowley, he was heavy because he believed in magic. Jack Parsons believed in magic. L. Ron Hubbard, He believed, and he wrote a book, Dianetics, that done sold 100 million. And he opened up the whole Scientology thing. He said, I'm going to invent a religion. They opened up a boat company and all of that stuff, and Parsons beat it, and he beat Parsons for money, and he bought a yacht. But people involved in Scientology right now, they can go out there like Navy people and be on a boat because that guy was upset with he was obsessed with the boat. But all of them were involved in ritualistic sex magic because they believe ritualistic sex magic can raise your chakras, raise your energy when you having sex. And he had different degrees. One of the degrees that he had was the 7th degree, was the degree of masturbation. You got to masturbate a lot, and you got to draw up that energy from when you're having an orgasm. They said when two people come together, now a lot of people talk about black magic. Oh, you got to get with your queen and light a candle and do all of this other strange stuff. And then he had an 8th, and he had the 9th. Now, the 9th one, now all of them were supposed to be heterosexual, but they started having orgies in their house. And when you get to the highest order and you're rocking with the OTO and you want to come through on the degrees and really communicate with them beings, you got to get through the 9th degree. And the 9th degree is a homosexual act. Everybody licking everybody doing everything. And a lot of people from Hollywood started getting initiated into the stuff. So that's when some people like Cat Williams said, listen, man, listen, I opened up this door and I seen them, and people start talking about these rappers. You don't know the stuff that these people got to do. I could believe that stuff because I see what the occultists got to do. Because this is what the beings command for you to have communication with them. And then you'll get, and they claim that they'll reward you. You'll get blessings, you'll get money, you'll have miracle, you'll have power. You can command things at a certain stage in magic and the occult. I used to know some other cats, and they was like, we was doing, you know, I'm going up here to Ohio. We going to penitentiary to talk. And we would talk, you know, we would lecture, talking to some other brothers, and they was like, man, listen, we just want y'all to pray for us because we going into the, you know, we going in there, and there's a lot of cats that's out here working this magic. They're working rituals. They doing voodoo. You got, and you got some people that's, everybody's not saved, but you got some people that respect a Christian worldview. You could have a Christian worldview because you grew up in church, you respect your grandma and them, so you hear people banging on Christianity, you get mad. So they was like, yo, them dudes are practicing some devil worship, they practicing some other stuff, but these cats were getting cake. They were getting plenty of money. They would perform rituals. They were involved in that. These people were they were homosexuals, but they were involved in magic. They getting plenty of money. They in coops and all of that. They would go on Madison Avenue. They would go in Manhattan, and they would walk in the store and put on mink, put on chinchilla, and start speaking in tongues and walk right out in front of security like they're invisible or something. They just start speaking in some rituals in another language, Latin or whatever it is, and they just walk out with put watches on Cartier, and they walk out with glasses and all type of minks and rings, and they just and people just don't even, it's like they don't even see them. So there's things that you can do when people start saying you're selling your soul, you're opening up portals, you're getting guides, and you're putting a force field around you and all of this stuff. A lot of this stuff comes from people like Aleister Crowley and Jack Parsons. Now, he told them that people can, before you contact them, what people can really do is a lot of people can raise their own chakras, can raise their own energy, so you can get into that realm where you can communicate with them. There's rituals that you have to do, and all of them practice sexual magic. They call it black magic, and you see the way he spelt magic, that these are the type of people that we're dealing with. Some people said he was part of government agencies and this and that, but Parsons and a lot of these other people were scientists and leaders, wise men in this country, in Europe. Even afterwards, a lot of people had beef with Aleister Crowley, but right now in the occult world, among magicians, among mystics, esoteric masons, rock musicians, rappers, people in Hollywood, they all recognize his ritual and they practice certain things. What's the lady with the spirit cooking the other day that was in Jay-Z's video? She's talking about the energies, and somebody put her name down in the thing. Rob Moses, put that girl name down in the thing. And she talked about certain things that Aleister Crowley talks about. He talks about getting that menstrual blood. You got to get that menstrual blood. That's energy. And some of you black folk been practicing that. That lady said, I like that man right there. She went and got some of that blood and put it in his spaghetti. A lot of y'all folk was doing that. Christian people. But I love this man. I want this man. I'm going to make a nice, spicy dinner for him. He going to love me after I'm done with him. And these are rituals at work. These are rituals. They may be demonic, they may be otherworld, but they're rituals and they definitely work. This is the being that he called up 90 years ago. It's so funny that this being from another world looked like all of them beings that started showing up in 1947. When they say a balloon burst in Roswell, Area 51, it's so funny that he went to Kemet. They had a seance in Kemet, and his wife and them called up spirits, and this is the spirit that gave him the book of the law. All of these people write books under inspiration of spirits or channeling and stuff like that. And his ritualistic books and Thelema and the religion that he started, that a lot of rock stars, a lot of AC/DC and Ozzy Osbourne, and a lot of people in Hollywood follow, is this or a bastardized version of what they would call Kabbalah. It's some of that stuff. It's so strange that this looks like an alien. That's how come we got to go somewhere with this UFO connection with these beings that's coming. People said a being came into my room and I was so scared I was laying there. Close Encounters of the Third Time, and it took me up there. And everybody say, because if they're so advanced and they come from another planet, why almost everybody that was abducted said that they're always, when they abduct them, they're always trying to take tests on them, they're touching their private parts, sticking a finger in your butt or something crazy. What are they doing? What are they doing? This is. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm sorry. This is. I'm trying. What are they doing? I'm trying to clean it up. That's how I can't talk too much at church. What are they doing? Where's this stuff coming from? And the lady doing the rituals with Jay-Z, she's heavy. She was heavy into, oh, these are just magic rituals. These are just things that I draw with blood and I do certain things. And why are they so heavy into the blood and sperm and
Marina.
menstrual blood? Why are
Marina.
What's that?
Marina Ambro.
Yes, her name. Thank you. Yes, she's popular. She's very popular.
Spirit cooking.
Spirit cooking is her thing.
Walnut
and this is all
sauce.
a cult. Jay-Z, all the rich people around, Rockefellers and them used to have big parties. And I'm not talking about Rockefeller, Jay-Z. I'm talking about them real folk. They used to have parties and had these folk around and have spirit cooking rituals. Forget we ain't even get on Bohemian Grove yet. We didn't even get on that yet. Richard Nixon and all of them got at the Head of Times magazine and all them other folk. These folk go and they have rituals and they work certain things because they need guidance.
Brother B.
Guidance to do what they're doing. Now, some people can say this is a problem. Other people can say, well, no, it's not really no problem. It's not really no problem. All right, I said I was going to stop right there with the slide. I said I was going to share a couple of them because I didn't even bring my Patreon people on tonight. But these are some things we gotta look into. We got to look into now. We got to go to the point of how much these beings done ran amok down here. And why are these people trying to usher us into a certain age of dealing with them? If it's just foolishness, why are we so pressed? Why are they so pushing us with a doctrine? Because they are forcing a doctrine on us. Right. Through everything we see, they're forcing a doctrine on us. Why is that? Come on, if any questions, go ahead, brother. I'm trying to close some stuff up here.
Now they've been agreeing with us. One was after that Marina, they was talking about Pizzagate.
Yes.
Yeah, that's dealing with spirit cooking, and that's one of the rituals they do. Just oddly, just to go into that a little bit, what they believe is like when they do homosexual acts to men or little boys, they like to use little kids because they say the energy from the blood is the purest.
Yes,
you get more energy from a child. Now, what they do is, and what people don't realize, when you get raped, and they used to say they used to do it in the Masonic Lodge on the black what's name late at night. But when someone is raped, they split your personality, and one personality can be controlled by an entity. That's why people be like, I don't know why I feel like this. Well, this is a spirit that's been put on you. And then on top of that,
to rip your soul, so multiple demons or spirits can come in, and that's how come a lot of people are really, really, really against molesting children and stuff like that. But the other lady, what's that book that what's her name wrote? He came to set the captives free. That lady said that she said one of the main things we do, we give
Rebecca Brown.
Yes, Rebecca Brown. She said, we give money to churches, and that's the quickest way you can move up in the church. Give money, and then we become Sunday school teachers, and we just get in there and get to molesting the kids. We even if the spirit don't work, that trauma is so much in them. Later on, they'll start acting out. They'll start doing all type of sex crazy stuff. They'll do anything. They'll get to doing anything. And and that's because they opened up doors for spirits to get in them from trauma or from fear. That's one of the main channels that they use, avenues that they use for opening up some doors. Go ahead, bro. I've been talking for a minute.
Are you all right?
I'm gonna read some of these. I'm gonna read.
I'm gonna just elaborate on the stuff you was talking about, and I'm gonna
Okay,
put.
go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. I'm
up
trying to
to
read some. Yeah.
Okay, like when you talk about the von Braunman and the astrophysics, you would look up, just type in Project Paperclips. That would
Right.
be
That's
a
correct. That's
government
correct. With the
organization
government.
dealing with that. And then we also have CERN in CERN, Switzerland, with it's the large LHC, which is a large hydro collider. And I believe it was Dawkins spoke that when they turned that thing up to 40% power, and this was like back in 2015, apparitions started to come out. And then they burned up a bunch of magnets and it had to go offline for a couple of years, but they just restarted it back up. And that's where you get the new 5 elements, Merovingian and all those new elements on the periodic chart, because they were trying to find the original nebula or the God particle,
Yes.
the Big Bang. And they've been doing this for years. And now China is also building a new hydro collider that's going to be bigger than the one in Switzerland, because they have to build a collider that can hold an element. Now they're dealing with different metals, things of that nature. But all these are spirits that manifest, because I always say, God made us in his own image out of the dust of the ground on earth. But you have these fallen entities using other, you could just say celestial planes, because when you talk about an alien only means that you're not indigenous to that. Yeah. That's the Large Hydro Collider, and that is the Shiva, the God of War statue. And they supposed to not be religious, but they have Shiva.
And why would that be in the front? That's why I brought that up and made that big. Why would that be in the front? And we dealing with all scientists that say they don't believe in the same thing. What they're trying to do is they're trying to take it a step further than Parson. They're trying to prepare for the end, and they're doing certain things to us. Because remember, I said everybody believes that somebody is coming. They want to open them. They want to open portals so individuals can come down here, and they're looking for what, of course, we the haters, so we gonna call him the Antichrist, but he's coming with lying signs and wonders. I think when we pick up next week, we're gonna talk about that. The movie Frankenstein is based on a being out of the Kabbalah that the Jewish rabbis talked about making, and they said they could bring a spirit inside of him and wake him up. And that's part of what the Babylon working was. Remember, we're going to go further, but when we start talking about the Babylon working and stuff that Aleister Crowley and them were doing, they said, listen, we're going to have some magical sex, and we're going to make a baby. We're going to make a woman. He ended up taking Jack Parsons' wife. She divorced Jack Parsons and started going with him because she was liking the orgies and stuff that they were having. It turned into a whole zoo, but they were the ones that heavily influenced Hollywood and the occult, because the occult thing is part of the religion with the sex magic. Now, some people would just come in and have sex, but most of them were coming so they can keep the power and the prestige that they had, and other ones just wanted to meet the beings, or they wanted blessings from all of these beings. I'm gonna stop sharing. Go ahead. I'll go back to reading these.
Hey, and it's funny. Remember how, like, we were speaking about the 1948 prophecy, how they try to speed up prophecy because they know the Bible. When you're dealing with CERN, you can go to Revelations, to the angels that had the keys to unlock the pit. And that's what they're equating CERN with. Like, they want to open this portal or open this gate, before time, to unleash those locked up angels. And the locked up angels that they speak about, that God said are worse than the devil, was those angels that came down to Mount Hermon.
And the other ones, Ewosk in them, the other ones, that's their mans in them that's locked up. They trying to break them out of prison ahead of time and run amok. Let me look at that.
Man, it gets so deep. And that's when people start to, I'm not want to say it start to sound spooky, but that's when you got to look around you, where you got HARP, where they doing weather modification, cloud seed,
making it rain. They making it rain for real, not like the strip club.
Nah, they put nickel in the air, and your body can't break down this certain traits. That's where they start talking about the autism, and the men are more feminine now. It's the chemicals they pumping in the air. Rex 81, Agenda 21, the UN. you know, with this new world, where all the world is coming together and they're gonna end world hunger and all this. Well, somebody got to die for them to end world hunger. And then that also goes back to the
Georgia Guidestones, where they talk about keep the population under 500 million.
Exactly.
I think even with that,
that.
I didn't get that book, but they said Wesley Muhammad's book is good. He down with the Nation of Islam, but he wrote a book about that. You know, I think that's what what you call it was in. You know, he got a earned degree. I think that's what his degree is in. They said that they putting chemicals in weed. This ain't regular weed. This is
marijuana.
Flower. Yep. This is some other stuff that they doing. And they're doing some things for a reason. Go ahead.
Exactly, because when you get to the marijuana, see, you got marijuana is grown with CBD and THC. CBD is actually the healing component in marijuana, and you can extract that THC down to the lowest number, so you won't be too, because that's just what gives you the high. THC gives you the high. CBD is the healing component. So what he was talking about is the loud they growing. You know, when you get into Denver and that medical marijuana, they're mixing this stuff and they're adding certain chemicals to what's supposed to be loud, and it's defeminizing the men. You know, and then you getting on the Circ, the Perks, the Percocets, the Fizz. You know, all these, they, you know, demasculating it, and the brain can't break down a lot of that, a lot of those chemicals you put into your body, because you know fear activates your what's that fluid? You got a natural cocaine. I can't think of the fluid name. You develop cocaine naturally when you're in fear.
Yes.
Dopamine. You can develop natural dopamine in the brain from fear. That's another way. When they use ayahuasca and DMT, actually one of the most potent drugs is adrenochrome. Adrenochrome can only be extracted when someone is at the point that they're about to die, and you have to extract it from the spinal cord. So this is another way that they decalcify their pineal gland to get into that third eye. But we know no man coming to the Father except through the Son, and that's why in the New Testament it speaks of Jesus having the keys to heaven and earth, and all power is in his hand. That's
another thing we got to look at that a lot of people don't know, man. When we start dealing with that, that's why. But like, even when you go back to and he had the girl Tate. That was Tate in the house. Helter Skelter. Charlie Manson, all of them.
Man,
a lot of y'all don't know. Listen, there's a lot of people popping up missing all over because people are practicing rituals. Not only here, Mexico, Africa. People are practicing things, and what's that? Vice had a documentary on, and he said, listen, certain things we got to go to the graveyard. Certain things we need a young boy. Certain things we need human blood. Certain things we need, we need this body part. We need the heart of a child, and all of this crazy stuff. People believe that, and don't just think it's white people. People all over the world are practicing this stuff because this stuff works. Y'all hear me? This stuff works. That's why they're doing it. And they doing it, some people say, well, they're doing it for selfish gain or whatever. But because more and more people are practicing that stuff, more and more people are popping up missing. More and more strange things start. Oh, it was just a suicide. More and more strange organs missing, all type of crazy stuff. It's just not for scientific purposes. A lot of this stuff is for cult purposes. Grace and peace. Virgil said, y'all seen the Facebook portal ad with Kim Kardashian or Copper Pyramid? No, I'm gonna have to go look into that. Jeremy said population control is the basis of all kinds of evil. I agree with that 100%. Yep. That's how come I can't really be mad at some of these young people when they be like, yo, can't you see they're going to try to control us through religion? I can understand what they're trying to say with certain things, but if you're following the right belief system, it's going to speak against what these folk are doing. And there's no, and it's in there. That's where, forgive me, y'all. Y'all know I got to thump it out. Not the 5% lessons. I don't see this thing exposing it. I got a book and expose this stuff. And it ain't the Hadith, and it ain't the Quran, and it ain't the Vedas, it ain't the 120, it ain't secret teachings of all ages, and it ain't moral and dogma. It ain't, but guess what it is? That same book y'all ain't even reading. That dusted thing on the side of the bed. There's that book right there exposing all this stuff.
Preach.
All this stuff. And you see these cats and they running around doing what the books say they don't do, but it does give some type of power, and more people are falling for it because they love not the truth. Because they've been deceived. Oh, that book ain't nothing, that book ain't nothing. So because they love not the truth, something came, and I can't even be mad because Because Rich said that strong delusion comes from God. The truth is so powerful, you better just leave that thing alone. Don't even be around it. You'll play yourself. If you don't know, that's one thing. But if you know it and you turn it away, now I'm going with Kemet. I'm going with Kemet. Them white folk ain't nothing. I'm going with Kemet. You deliberately walking away from the truth of the Rick because of skin color, something that was made up hundreds of years later. That's a social construct that they just put out here because skin color don't really mean nothing. Y'all do know that, right? Oh, but some people feel, black people better than white folk. And wait, listen, black folk out here doing everything white folk doing for sin. Same thing. Oh, we purer than them. We better than them. No. This is a thing of the heart. This is a thing of the heart. We got to make sure we keep everything in its proper perspective. Now, people got beef. That don't mean we can't discuss injustices. That don't mean we can't discuss certain things. And that's where I feel some people could say, yo, the church done rocked everybody to sleep. Just love. Don't worry about this. Don't worry about that. And these folk steady killing. That's a whole nother story. Go ahead, brother. Let me look at some.
Now check this out. It's funny. Everybody follow the Bible, right? If the planet started out black, who was these angels having sex with? Was it white folk?
Boy, oh boy. Boy, oh boy.
If you want to be honest, if everything started black and we, we're not saying
so far.
You know what I'm saying? If it started with melanated people was the one in the fall. We intertwine, you know what I'm saying? So I'm like, if you're gonna take the Bible, you got to take it all. Even though
take like that medicine. Your mama used to give you that medicine. You're gonna take this, boy, and you're gonna love it. I don't want you're gonna take it. But now, I can't even say that because it might be the wrong people in here. But to be honest, Perry, listen to me. Johnson, listen to me right now. To be honest, a lot of people say when you talk about the Watchers, when you talk about the great people, this science of the great people actually comes from Atlantis. Let me ask y'all a question. Who's in here? Yolanda, who's in here right now? Jeremy, did the Egyptians talk about Atlantis or did we get that from Plato and Europeans? I shouldn't have said that.
No, you're right. You got to speak how it is because you only hear it from Plato.
Because some people feel if we got it from them and there's certain things that came down, they said some people would argue, and that's where it goes into other things with the Bible and Genesis and serpent seed doctrine, that those people are not human. Those are not our people. There's people out here arguing that, and I'm just putting it out just so y'all can know. There's some people that believe that other ethnic groups, just like the Aryans used it on blacks, are not the children of God, the true humans. They're the beast of the field. But the Nation of Islam, other people have taught that Europeans were not of the same. Well, the same thing, but they flipped it in reverse. And they said white people are not of us. Europeans are. That's how come Hitler and them was looking for these tall, blonde-haired people, because they belong to the devil. They're children of the devil. That serpent seed doctrine. That the serpent seed doctrine teaches that when the serpent talked to Eve, he really seduced and had sex, and she had one baby, and then Adam turned around and had another baby with her, and that's two different races, two different manner of people. We got to be careful how we read in this book because all of these doctrines are out here.
You're getting into Lilith now.
All of these doctrines are out here, and people are out here talking. Mark, what was that? Mark said, I have an issue with, what he said, I have an issue with angels having sex with human beings. So these angels had penises, nuts, semen. Yes, we believe that they could take on the phone. Everybody don't believe this, and it's okay. That don't, Mark, everybody don't believe that, especially after St. Augustine. More and more people believed it originally. But if you don't believe that, there's a lot of explaining to do with that Old Testament. Paul and them, women covering their hair, all of this other, that's part of it, where these giants come from. Why did he destroy the world? From other Elohim, so other gods must have came down here and did something with human blood, with the human, with God's creation to make him want to just wipe out everything because he was that dumb. He made a mistake. He didn't know Adam was going to sin that much, or did something cause wickedness to go to another level? So there's some questions that we got to ask, but there's a bunch of people that don't, we're just bringing things out. There's a bunch of people that don't believe that, especially when you look at scriptures like, he said, they shall be like the angels in heaven. They're neither marriage nor given in marriage. But then we got to ask questions. If angels appeared to lot in them and them men seen them and wanted them, they must look like some men. That means they had beards, they had muscles, and if they got beards and muscles, they might got some other parts that humans have. Because clearly we see that they took on the form of humans. Jesus was God. Jesus came down here, and I think Jesus peed in doo-doo. I think I'm sorry, y'all. I'm sorry. I think Jesus went to the bathroom for them 33 years he was down here.
Oh man, he had to because he got tired. He was hungry in the wilderness. Hey.
He came. We got instances where they come, they chill, they eat, they take sacrifice, they do certain things. So it's not. I don't think it's totally impossible and clearly writ. Clearly writ. How do you interpret? There's three main interpretations for Genesis 6 and 2. Those were the righteous children of God having sex with the bad people, the bad sinful seed. Those are the sons of God, but that don't explain where giants come from. But there's three main interpretations when we deal with Genesis 6,
Exactly.
1 through 4. There's three main interpretations. That's how I'm going to say Bible thumpers have to be careful, because when we deal with Christendom, that's Christians all over, Catholic, Orthodox, all of the Protestants on the planet. When you deal with them, everybody, even Muslims that read the scripture, because Muslims read our text too, they have a view on this also.
Can I go
They
there
have
real
a
quick?
view on that also. And on top of that, we have to also look at the connection with why would the Greeks and so many other people talk about giants and gods coming down here and taking women and people being half born from gods. That's others, because we got those cultures that spread all over the world that people believe that gods came down here and took women in different myths all over the planet. I don't believe that those are just lying stories. I believe it's truth in those myths, but I believe what Ritt is saying, it has to do with some actual stuff. That's me personally. But like I said, this ain't got nothing to do with salvation. We still brothers and sisters in the Lord, even though we'll view it differently. But these are things that we have to talk about, especially with believers in this age right now. Because if you look on YouTube, because of YouTube, Enoch is getting shined. The book of Enoch, that is getting shined like no other book in the history of religion. People out here talking about Enoch. And the mere fact that Enoch is in the Ethiopian church and in their canon, this is bringing a lot of people. YouTube and stuff is bringing the church to task to answer certain things, because many fools running around here, well, why we ain't got it? Well, they trying to have the white man. They got why is it not in the Bible? It wasn't in the Bible. The King James, take it out. People want to know some stuff and really looking into it. So the church, we just going and touching our neighbor, but we got to discuss these things, and we got to bring certain things out and give the history of how the doctrine developed, where the doctrine was suppressed, where the church went. Goes like I said, like Mike Heiser said, like so many Tom Horn and them, like so many other people say, that this was very popular during Jesus' day. During Jesus, and we find the book of the giants among the Dead Sea Scrolls during Jesus in them time, John the Baptist in them time. So all of them knew this. Jude knew this. Peter knew this. They knew these books better than we know these books. They may not be in the Bible, but they knew these doctrines and they were influenced by these doctrines. These were teachings that were around. Go ahead, brother. Let me try to read some more.
I'm gonna just reiterate for Genesis 6. I don't know if y'all was when I did the PowerPoint, and we do have the Sethite view. That was the other view, and then the main view of the sons of God. Just look at context. B'nai Ha-Elohim. You have to see when that was used and what context that was used. What were B'nai Ha-Elohim?
In the book of Job, yes.
In the book of Job, B'nai Ha-Elohim. You don't see us becoming sons of God until the New Testament.
That's correct.
And then to reiterate on when Jesus said, they'll need to be given to marriage, and they don't have when they're in heaven, they got to remember these angels left their estate. So they did something they wasn't supposed to do, period. You're supposed to watch humans, not interact or change what humans was doing. That's why they got locked up. That's why God said his demons worse than the devil. The devil wasn't even crazy enough to leave his estate like that. They left their estate, so they had to get locked up. And then to go to Ra Moses, you keep going back to Psalms 82 in context. There was a songwriter writing a song or writing this you could call it poem or song. Elohim stands in, the divine council. Elohim stands in the midst of Elohim. God was speaking to other gods, not people. He said, ye say ye are gods, but you're gonna die like men. This was not him talking to regular humans. So that's why when Jesus reiterated in the New Testament, he said, ye say ye are gods. He was just requoting Psalms 82. But in that sense, in the New Testament, those were those Elohims that was trying to act like they was the real God. In the same sense, the Pharisees, Sadducees trying to act like they was the same God. So in context, Psalms 82 is the heavenly council. It says heavenly council, and these are heavenly spirits he's speaking to. So ain't no other way to get around that. B'nai Ha Elohim.
And I like what Jeremy said. He said the sons of God was used 4 times in Genesis and Daniel. And Daniel is a problem. Daniel's another book they ain't gonna deal with too much. Daniel's a problem when you start talking about watches. I remember we got into the whole big argument. They telling me, "Oh no, watches ain't even in the Bible." And I showed them Daniel. They was, they done with me. They be hating me. But I'm gonna read 2 more. Let me see. I'm gonna read 2 more things in here, and then we gonna let me see. Now this brings us to another thing. I asked y'all when we start dealing with angels and we start dealing with Satan and Lucifer, and they believe the devil is different. And there's a lot of people out here that's searching for Lucifer. They want to become illuminated. They want to become Lucifers. They want to become gods. They want to become Christ. Remember, I said Freemasonry and the occult. They were attempting in Secret Destiny of America. They were attempting to make America Jerusalem. People were in Europe and they were opening up Masonic lodges, and they were talking in there, and they were practicing rituals based on Solomon Temple. People in Europe started saying that they were Jews, they were God's special people, and then they started talking about prophecy. And 1948 came about. That whole thing jumped off. It was a hype. It was a hype. What these people are doing are attempting to mirror things in the spirit realm, attempting to mingle things in the Bible. If a Messiah came and is coming back to deliver the people, they're preparing for somebody to come back. It's the same exact thing right here. And they're trying to, like he said, they're trying to rework prophecy to make things happen ahead of time. But Christ said, just like it was in the days of Noah, one of the questions that I asked, we were building up to this, can spirits manifest, can angels manifest themselves in the physical right now? I got some Baptist friends said no, because in these last days, he's spoken to us through his son, through the word. So that verse right there in Hebrews mean that they don't manifest themselves anymore after the apostolic age, after Peter, after John died, the last one to die, 95, 96, 94, whatever. He died before 100 AD. After that, you don't see church fathers talking about angels appeared to them and they wrote down this and they wrote down that. Some people said once the revelation was closed, once the canon was closed, we don't need prophets to get messages anymore. I don't believe that. Ephesians 4:11. I believe we have apostles, we have prophets, should I say right now. Some people feel different. Like bishops took the place of an apostle after the 2nd century and all that stuff. But I believe that we have a prophets right now, but prophets have to speak what line up with that book. Can't no prophet come and start talking about praying to Raphael and switching up the book. What they speak got to fall in line with the book. What them prophets, what Moses them spoke became the book. And that's the difference. That's what we personally believe. But the question now is, Christ said, just like it was in the days of Noah, so shall it be in the coming or the age of the sons of man. Are spirits manifesting themselves and running around here like movie stars? Are there shape-shifting beings in politics that's looking and moving and acting like human beings, and they're really angels or principalities or watchers manifested down here to lead the people astray? That's the question right now. We're going to close with that. I want to answer yes, 1 for yes, 2 for no. Some people say they don't come around at all. But can they be? I'm not going to ask y'all if Hillary Clinton is a shapeshifter. And you got to look at her eyes and look at Beyonce's eyes real close when she on stage, because people got Photoshop stuff and they just wilding out. But do y'all personally think that beings are manifesting themselves and down here, living down here? Or do they leave and do they come back? Stuff like that. And do you think it's something with these falling ones, why they've been taking human blood and trying to do certain things? That's why we're seeing people talking about mermaids, lizard spirits, spirits of the ocean, river spirits, and all these mermaid stories, all these Loch Ness monster stories. We got UFOs, and I saw a ship and it came out of the bottom of the ocean. Back to Revelation, y'all see strange things coming out to sea. Does the sea means people? Or we got beings that can live underwater and they travel. People say they're seeing orbs in the skies. They're catching them on the camera. They're seeing all type of strange, like, is it the government? Does the government have technology and they're more advanced than what we're receiving? because Reagan loosed them 3 satellites and gave us GPS 20-something years ago. And people arguing that the government is still 50 years ahead of us. Do they have technology that comes from watchers? Let me show you one last thing. We can read one last thing if I got that other page open. But I wanna see what y'all say. Oh, I gotta send that to Chaplain Butts.
You all right? And look up DARPA if y'all want to know extra technology that the government uses. These are private corporations that build new technology way advanced. If they put it out on a commercial and we see it, just know they 30, 40 years ahead of.
Go ahead. Let me see. Let me see. This is a lot to read.
If we got people getting abducted, then you better believe it. I think they was talking about UFOs. The Bible is more weird than we think.
Oh, no, I can't lie. The Bible definitely is strange. Somebody asked me that too about the rapture. Do people get individually raptured? If God took Enoch, why can't he take people? And other beings taking people, to do what they want? Because there's always been people that said, the government, we trade this technology in Area 51. We get this, we promise, listen, y'all can kidnap 1,000 Americans a year if y'all give us this technology, and y'all can use their blood, you can use their sperm, you can use the breast milk and all of that other stuff on y'all experiments and do whatever y'all want to do, because they got to prepare themselves for the Antichrist. They don't believe that the Antichrist is going to be a regular individual. That goes back to that Babylon working. They was trying to have sex magic. That goes back to Kabbalah. They're trying to raise a spirit not from God. They're trying to make a human being not from God. And then people said that they're preparing a specific body for Lucifer to enter in. He can't just enter into anybody. We see Rich says that then, Satan basically came into Judas and to betray Christ. But a lot of people are saying he's coming back, and he's coming back in some power. He's going to be able to do all type of magic, and he's going to be the super magician. Everybody going to step up their psychic abilities. But when this one come, he's going to be on a whole different level, and something's going to happen. They're going to make statues come alive. They're going to, it's going to be a forerunner. The same thing like John the Baptist and Christ, the same exact thing. All right, we're gonna get out of here right now. We done did a little something today.
That was a good one right there, brother. That was a good one.
We done did a little something today. We appreciate y'all prayers and all that. I put that on PayPal in there if y'all want to put a dollar, whatever, in there. We appreciate y'all. But what do y'all think? Do y'all think that? What do y'all think when it says that, like the days of Noah? What do you think, bro? What do you tell me what you think, Brown?
I see it. Only thing I can't even say that I see it, because in the days of Noah, the inhabitants was eating up the land, and right now that's what's going on. You got cloning, you got sleeves, you got Neuralink, you got people trying to live forever, ever. You got the RFID chip, you got L.A. Marzulli talking about these entities putting metal things in people, and these metal things are giving off electricity, but they little pieces of metal, and they trying to figure out, well, how they getting these pieces in it. And in one instance, he had to pray just for them to be able to take it out, because the CAT scan showed this little piece of metal in his dude's leg, and they go in to take it out, and it's masked. He said it was like something like a cloak, but when he prayed, the spirit lifted that cloak, and they was able to take this piece of metal out this man's leg. And when you put I forgot, a gauss, I believe he called it a gauss machine to it, it lets off a frequency, and like a battery. Why does this little piece of metal let off a frequency? And that could have been them. We think it's the RFID chip, but then you might have something else they might be trying to put into you. And most of the alien abduction stories, what they don't tell you is everybody that had one of them apparitions, when they call out the name of Jesus, everything stopped. That's how you know it's demonic. It's not an actual extraterrestrial, something from out of the atmosphere with a natural body coming in here messing with you. These are spirits. And if your mind tell you, like almost like astral projection, or if your mind say it's hurting, or you floating, whatever your mind think, that's what's happening. So I think it's getting close. No man know the day or the hour, but when it's getting close. And right now, rumors of war, earthquakes in diverse places, all this crazy weather, sons are turning against mothers against, daughters against mothers, sons against fathers. It's like a separation. It's like now you either gonna come to the real truth or you're gonna be left behind. you know, I guess you're gonna have to try to catch the second train. I won't go on the first one. So be not deceived. That's all. Be not deceived. And we're not saying all this is concrete, but you at least want to know. You don't want people running up on you with these different doctrines, because that's what's happening to our young folks. They're running them away with this itchy ear. You know, they're hearing things they ain't never heard before and it sound good. And you saying I can get up at 3 or 4 in the morning and do some cantations and mantras and what a law of attraction, whatever I think about can manifest. Shoot, I think that work a little faster than Jesus, because he gonna make me tarry and go through before I get my reward. I want my reward now. We got that prodigal son mentality. Give me my stuff now. But God know you can't handle it. Why you gonna give you $1 million right now in your same mind state? You ain't gonna do nothing you're supposed to with it. So
when we start talking about that, a lot of people didn't. I mentioned that other book. Do me a favor, Google the brother name that wrote DMT. Somebody put it inside there, The Spirit Molecule. That book is very interesting. He's not a believer, but that book is very interesting. DMT, The Spirit Molecule. When we start talking about John Mack was a psychiatrist. John Mack was heavy. So many people started getting abducted. John Mack wrote a book on abduction, you know, Harvard and all of that stuff, tenured professor. They try to get rid of him, say he talking about crazy. He said these folk running around here, everybody thought they were crazy, but then after so many hundreds of cases of alien abduction, he said from everybody from doctors to cops, highway state troopers, everybody seeing, he said these folk not lying. But then he started asking other questions. When these beings that come and abduct these people, when you can't see them, where are they? Where are they? So he started writing books, and because he's a scholar, because he's from Harvard, he got the scholarly world involved in this, and other people started saying, because before you could just say, oh, that's just some dumb farmer said he saw a light and something took him away. He was probably drunk, cheated on his wife, and then he had to explain he got abducted because he was with the lady down the block having sex with the cows. He was missing his wife, wanted to know where he was at. So he had to make something up. No. Mac gave some credibility to this stuff, and he spent the last years of his life. He was not died a couple of years ago, but he spent the last couple of years of his life writing on abduction and bringing it out so scholars can recognize it.
yeah.
But he started.
Dr. Rick Strassman.
Dr. Rick, y'all gotta get Dr. Rick book, DMT, The Spirit Molecule. But he started having problems because in the intellectual scientific world, they don't want to talk about spiritual things. They don't want to talk about abductions because he said he didn't believe that these aliens came from light years away. But he do believe that they existed in another dimension, and that's a problem right there for scientists, of course, because scientists said there is no other dimension. You know, we just, whatever we see, this world just came about by whatever chances there are, because after the Renaissance period, people wanted to separate magic and the occult from science. And later on, Blavatsky said religion and stuff has to all turn into science and move on. That's how come Rob Moses and a lot of people on Sinetta TV will say you got to understand the science of spirituality. So he started to bring that thing out that there very, very, very well could possibly be another dimension, and there's beings in that dimension that's bothering human beings over here. But that opens up question, bothering us for what? What are they coming here for? Who are they? Where are they from? And so as opposed to dealing with all of these things, the scholarly community try to shut him down. After all his years on the job, after everything that he's done, all of the respect that he had, they tried to shut him down. He turned around, he got to sue them. He all in the New York Times. It turned into a whole zoo. But he ended up spending his life on explaining that this abduction thing is real. We got to take these people serious. We don't know where these beings are. We don't know what in the world is going on here, but it's definitely something we got to look at. All right, y'all, anything else in there I got to read, man? We're going to shut this thing down. It's 11 o'clock. I don't know how long we've been on, but y'all don't know. Thank God we was on today because we almost didn't make it.
Man, it was getting scary.
Enemy didn't. I knew this was getting ready to be something right here. And don't think nobody is crazy. Nobody's into the cult. Folk love Jesus and everything, but there's discussions that need to be had.
True.
You know, and nobody, like y'all know I'm Berean gonna say, nobody going to hell for talking. Don't let these folk fool us. Nobody going ahead for talking because people talking anyway. They don't know folk talking anyway. Let me try to look and see if any more comments. Go ahead, brother. Whilst I try to read these last couple of comments before we get out of here.
I thank everybody for for listening in. And like he said, it's not essential to salvation. So you might have another view, and ain't nothing wrong with that. Build with other people, like-minded uh church folk that got a foundation in Jesus Christ for one. But it ain't no problem building. I always say, eat the meat and spit out the bones. You might have some information that I might miss, because my office might be somewhere else, your office might be somewhere else, but you use that to come together and y'all can fill in the gaps for each other. It ain't about who's right or who got the most knowledge. We supposed to build together, as a body of Christ. That's what you're supposed to do. Come and discuss these things, you know what I'm saying, to get a better understanding. So
Yeah, I like what Vince Perry said. Vince Perry said you cannot separate magic from the spirit world. You can say what you want. Jack Parsons from Younger. I think there's some people in here, this can be touching you because this is a subject. You're a believer, but there's some things you want to look into. It's okay to have, I think God will have people preparing people with different interests for their callings, for whatever he got them. So if you grew up watching Star Trek and you're thinking about the universe and spirits and how things can operate, that could be another area. And we see that more and more of this is coming up. But we got a lot of old time pastors and preachers just plead the blood, just worry about Jesus. But you got younger people with a scientific mind. You have young people and they look at the stars, they think about things, and God's not scared of certain things. So I think he's preparing certain people to have conversations like this. Even though you're not a minister in the pulpit, and we all just love the pulpit and holler and touch your neighbor and hey, hit that organ and to laying hands and getting the prayer line going. They ain't got to do all of that. Some other people, he needs some other people to have conversations with people. I've been thinking about such and such. So it's okay to be a believer and believe and be involved in the scientific method and understand science and want to be, want to love looking into the universe and astronomy and stuff like that. All of that stuff is good. Don't
right.
let them folk play yourselves. All right, bro, you want to read the word of prayer and we get up out of here?
Yep. Everybody bow their heads. Father God, in the name of Jesus, we come before you as humble as we know how to say thank you. Lord, we just thank you for this conversation. Lord, we ask you to let them have ears to hear. Let your spirit speak in their heart, Lord. We ask you to not let this information sway anybody's heart, Lord, but bring it close to you, Jesus. Lord, we ask you to forgive us for all of our sins and everything that we have done wrong, known and unknown, seen and unseen. Any door that's been opened by any of this information that is demonic, Lord, we bind it in the name of Jesus. Lord, we thank you and we just praise you. We ask you to continue to keep Brother Bareen, keep the faith. Lord, we ask you to continue to look on our listening audience, Lord. These and all of the blessings we ask in your son, Jesus' name, we pray. Amen.
Amen. Amen. All right, we're gonna get up out of here, y'all. Let me hit this thing. No, I think we're doing Patreon tomorrow or something like that. All right, y'all. Everybody, good night.
All right.